I bet they used it to... Did you see that thing floating around the internet? About like, oh, I scraped my pecker in my zipper. I gotta quit wearing zip-up boots.
I can't say I heard that. That's good.
Coming next pod, a chip review.
No, I'm not eating any chips right now.
Oh, you're off the chips?
I'm off the chips. I'm back. Like the last 5 months or 6 months, I've gained so much weight. It's embarrassing.
You're traveling?
Just from traveling and just eating wherever and eating whatever and just saying I don't have time to worry about it right now and I got to stop. So when I got home after this last trip around, I'm like, throw it all out. I'm not touching any of it. Just give me meat and mostly meat, a little bit of veg, maybe a little bit of fruit and drinks, calorie-free drinks. Yeah, it's been wild. I couldn't believe how I didn't even check before I started, but like day 3 or day 4, I checked my weight and I was still like probably 18 pounds heavy in 5 months. I'm like, holy crap, that's out of control. Like, and I've felt it, I've noticed it physically, like my pants were getting tighter and I was getting fatigued easier and you're just carrying around more weight. It just does it to you.
Oh, wait till you go to lose it.
Yeah.
It comes off so much slower.
Yeah, well, I've noticed it.
Then years pass.
Yeah, well, like last year, like I'll always like watch my weight periodically, or I'll ignore it for like a month and then hop on a scale and go, okay, I need to tighten it up, and I'll lose a pound a day or something typically, right? And dude, I think I've only lost about a half pound a day. And what do you mean it comes off so much slower? I'm older than you. How could you possibly know?
It's slower than what it used to for me.
Oh yeah,
I can lock in and be like super dialed in. In the past, first week I would start losing weight. 10 pounds, always 10 pounds. And then it would be 2 or 3 pounds a week, 2 to 4 pounds a week.
Yeah.
And then at the end, 2 pounds a week. And now it's like cut that in half. First week, dial in, maybe I lose 5 pounds. And then I'm lucky to be 2 pounds a week if I'm super strict. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's discouraging, Tim.
It is, yeah.
I can beat that.
Yeah.
Oh, serious criticizing you.
Your metabolites might be better than mine.
Well, I can honestly say I probably move around more than you do in a day.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Because you're stuck sitting and helping somebody or standing around them and not moving around a lot, and I'm running all the time.
Yeah, your steps are good. Like your step, you got a high step. You're a high step count kind of person.
So I probably have a reasonable amount, but my testosterone's probably lower than yours at this point just because of age.
Yeah,
it's time to check.
That's actually a good thing to get measured.
Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I am. I've got somebody lined up to test it all. I'm going to get everything checked and see what I need and where I'm at. Because I go hard, but man, when it's time to fall asleep, I am out and I'm out fast.
Yeah,
and I feel tired.
I'm that way too. When I lay down, I'm done. Yeah. I sleep real good, and then I wake up and I do it again. But we got a very special episode lined up for you guys today. It's the
Mucho Speciale.
It's the Ask Me Anything version, MFJJ version of we're going to get into the archery weeds and get some of your burning desires and questions answered up through Josh's Instagram. So that's where you would have found this. If you're following Josh on Instagram, you should be. Yeah. But if you're not, you want to give him a follow to maybe participate in the next one.
Well, it definitely looks like a decent amount of people are because I got a lot of questions here. Yeah. Holy crap.
So we're going to kind of cherry pick our questions and answer the things that we think will best fit the pod here. And Josh is going to be our, what do you call that person who's like?
MC?
MC, yes.
Master of Ceremonies.
That's what that stands for. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Master of Ceremony.
I don't know stuff like that, and that's why I wouldn't do that good at trivia.
Yeah. If it's movie trivia or TV trivia, I'd crush.
Which is good.
As long as it's not like in the last 5 years.
Because pop culture is a big part of trivia. Yeah. Music included.
I bet you I do pretty good on trivia. Yeah. So, all right, well, let's go off of Rob Delaney here. Says Matthews UltraView or new Excel driver.
Well, you've only seen the Excel driver to this point.
Well, no, I've had the Matthews UltraView for 4 months.
But I haven't seen the driver.
Oh, gotcha. So
just at face value, I've seen it.
Yeah, I'd easily say the driver, just if price only, because I think they're very similar products.
Yeah.
But the price of a driver is almost $200 less. So yeah, Excel driver, if you're asking me personally.
Yeah, I'll say what I don't like about that is innovation tends to happen in waves. And sometimes people break out from the mold, and sometimes people fall into the mold. And right now we have about 3 or 4 sites that are very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they're all originally a derivative of, I'd say HHA really, or because I think HHA
They're
was
the
the first
original
one to go
wheeler?
the wheel.
Yeah.
And then I think Spot Hog added it. I could be wrong. Comment down below on which one was first. I could be wrong. But yeah, the knob wheel. And then Ultraview probably made it more prominent by whoever comes out with the most expensive sight's probably going to get the most eyes on it relevantly, right? So, but they're all kind of a tweak on that. But originally, got to give the nod to HHA originally, I believe, because they were if I remember right, they were the first one who had a big wheel that you rotated it to move it down, and that was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure that was before Spot Hog.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah. I would just like to see every site have its own personality and not get too caught in chasing the trend of what the next hottest site is doing. But maybe that is the best design. I don't know. Maybe it is. But we've definitely seen a few fall into that similar mold. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. And understanding the backstory too a little bit. I mean, it sounds like they were all competing for some business, and maybe that's where that came from. But
That's where the innovation push was. They were all trying to get that contract.
Yeah.
But as a non-professional archer, do you justify buying a new bow every year? Well, first of all, professional archers don't pay for their bows, so they're just going to have a new bow every year. But non-professional, honestly, no. I think there needs to be some benefit innovation, some relatively benefit innovation, and frequently you don't see that year to year, especially if you're staying on the same brand.
Yeah.
If you're a Matthews loyalist, it's probably a couple of years before the bow changes enough to make it noticeable. What do you think on that?
And if you've really, really sunk your teeth into a bow, you've really dialed it in. I mean, you're talking about a few months, getting to know your bow, getting your peep just right, getting your third axis dialed in, maybe setting up your bow differently and figuring out how it holds best. To do that on an annual basis, you can do it, but you got to be really dedicated to doing that on an annual basis.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like a two-year life cycle is going to be probably what's ideal. And then some people just like new stuff. There's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, I like new stuff.
Something to keep in mind, if you feel the factory string is good enough when you're buying that new bow, when it rolls around to the next year when it's time to replace your string and cable, and you're going to spend a couple $100 doing that, that might be a decent time to do it too.
Yeah.
So at the frequency in which you would change your strings might, if you're going to change the bows regularly, is a good time to think about it. Because when you go to sell that bow used, you're not getting a dime more for it for having new strings on it.
Yeah.
So you might as well
And I would say I
take
just
it then.
recently published a video of me building my bow, and one of the more common questions was, do you need custom strings? And I would say no, you don't need custom strings. But when you buy custom strings or you put them on, you're getting a tighter spec. You're getting something that's manufactured to a tighter spec, and it's less likely to move, more likely to last a little longer. So it's like it's a nice add-on for $150.
Can I
Yeah,
jump on that?
you should add to
I think
that.
you absolutely should change your strings out to begin with.
Yeah.
Period. And for two good reasons. One, you now have a backup set of strings in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You take your stock factory ones that you can use in an emergency standpoint, or those stock factory strings, if the bow's never been shot, you can sell them and get some money out of them. Put them
Yeah.
on eBay, say, hey, stock factory, let's take it, say it's a Matthews, lift 33X, unused, new open box or whatever you want to call it. You probably get $60-$80 for them.
Yeah.
Put it on eBay, recoup some of your money. But I would rather see it be an emergency set that you hang on to, personally. But aftermarket strings are still drastically better than what comes on a bow.
Oh, I did the grand total on everything on my bow.
Yeah.
Take a guess at what it costs.
I don't
This
remember
is-
everything you had on there.
The Excel landslide with the AVX 31 on the front,
Okay.
Hamsky Epsilon,
Okay.
your bars,
And a V-bar?
and gripper. Yeah, AAE gripper on the back.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beep, beep, boop, boop,
Okay,
pop,
go ahead.
pop, beep, boop.
Okay.
That's everything, isn't it?
Your
and
strings.
Your Ghost XV custom strings and the Hamsky new kit peep package.
And how much was that one?
Well,
that-
I
which
did the
would you put
hunting
it at?
kit in my budget, which was $130.
25, 50?
Yeah, that's very close. I think I titled in my spreadsheet it was 25.75 or something pre-tax. So you're very close. So when you say that's essentially what a new bow costs, and you could spend more on things, you could spend less on things, but that's kind of middle of the road because I saved some money in some areas, like the bars, and then spent more money in other areas, like the Peep. And actually, the landslide with the AVX 31 is only 365.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah,
Which it's sad to say that's reasonable, but that's reasonable.
it is reasonable. Yeah, like the top end of the site market is like $600.
$700.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
save some money there. But when you say that, and then okay, is the additional $150 worth it or not? That's what, 5% of the cost to have custom strings?
I think it's like I still stand by the reality that that custom strings are the most important thing you can put on your bow because it's the thing that's going to change. So yeah, I still fully advocate that the most important money you can put on your bow is a set of strings. I just really believe it. It will cause you less problems than anything else, assuming we're talking about a good quality set of strings, not just let's throw some color, some pop, some flair, some woo woo, whatever you want to call it. That stuff. No, good quality set of strings, and I personally recommend Gas System X over anything. I think that's the best thing made right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about if your strings do change, all the things that do change. So you're going to talk about changing your poundage.
Poundage is going to change, your drawling's going to change, your let-off's going to change, your impact point's going to change, your velocity's going to change. Anything else? Literally everything?
Yeah, your bow might go out of time,
Yeah.
right?
Literally, that's your tune. Your tune will change.
Yeah, your tune will
Everything.
change. So
literally everything.
you can save a lot of headaches by having a good set of strings.
Unless you want to jack with it all the time, just
Yeah.
put a good set of strings on it.
Yeah.
And spend that money.
Yeah.
I'd rather see you spend $200 less on another piece of equipment, like buy a more mid-level rest or a mid-level sight or something. Save your money on it somewhere else.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense to
No,
me.
I'll come around on that for sure.
So,
Okay,
all right.
deal in that next one.
Can you shorten a string length to achieve a proper draw length? Yeah, that's actually a really common process. So every twist you put into your string will shorten it. Every twist you take out of your string will lengthen it. And people will commonly tinker with that to change a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch of length if you're trying to improve your draw length just slightly. You can also do it in the cables, but it's most common to see it in the string.
Well, that's good. That's good for me to know too. Yeah. Give their Instagrams a shout out too if you can.
Oh, sorry, that was Tyler Jeremy 95.
Tyler Jeremy 95.
Okay, Simon _PMDC. List these from most important to least. Paper tuning fletched, bare shaft tuning, torque tuning. You want me to do it or you want to do it?
Repeat those three things again. Paper tuning fletched.
List these from most important to least important. Paper tuning a fletched arrow, bare shaft tuning, or torque tuning.
I would say
This is a very loaded question.
my initial is in the order that they went. So paper tuning fletched would be first because that's how you're going to end up shooting your bow. Bare shaft tuning after that, and then torque tuning. Torque tuning, and I'll do my best to describe it, but you can fill in, Josh, is basically like what really good archers do with their bow. They'll induce torque on one side of the grip and then induce torque on the other side of the grip and see how far that moves them off a center. And they adjust the distance of their rest or the distance of their sight closer or further from the bow. And sometimes that'll bring that arrow in closer to where the center point is. So torque tuning is like one of those things that a really good archer can see some benefit from, and an amateur could see some benefit from too. But that's like down the weeds a ways of the things you should have tuned prior to that.
Traditionally, amateur is going to have a hard time being able to functionally do that
You got to
well.
be consistent enough.
You
right?
have to be really consistent to be able to do
robotic
that.
enough.
Like I said, this is kind of a loaded question because broadhead tuning's not in here, and that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Personally, like paper tuning, getting close, and then going to broadhead tuning is what I have always emphasized and suggest on anybody that's going to hunt. If you're not going to hunt, then I would go paper tuning, then bare shaft tuning. Then if you feel your skill is adequate enough, then torque tuning in that order.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't ever not paper tune with a fletched arrow because that'll eliminate major problems happening when you try those other things. If your bow's not tuned anywhere near close, paper tuning will show you that in a safe manner.
Yeah.
Like bare shaft tuning, a bow that hasn't been tweaked at all could snap the arrow shaft in half.
How about this? If you're not going to hunt, and this wasn't listed in there, but if you're not going to hunt, paper tuning, and then maybe just group tuning, right? Seeing where your arrows hit the best with what setups after that. Because really, if you're not hunting, you're just mostly considered about groups, right?
Yeah, sure. And torque tuning should always be the last thing you do, period. because like retuning any of your other things on your bow will mess with the torque tuning.
Yeah.
So torque tuning is always a last option if you're even going to do it. By the way, just throwing that in there. But yeah, I mean, if you're shooting your bow for group, it shouldn't matter how well the arrow's flying as long as it's shooting a tighter group.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And I've seen stories and heard stories about people who have won events with bows that shot through paper terribly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those are just whispers or they're true. I mean, I wasn't there to see them shoot their bow
Sure.
through paper, but I've heard enough of the stories. I would believe that fletchings do a lot to correct arrow flight.
There's a couple of these that I'm just going to answer real quick because they're basic questions.
Yeah, rapid fire.
McCoy_Richie, will you be attending TAC and PA this year? Yes. Spencer Arrow, when are you guys going to shoot Vegas? I shot it last year, Spencer. Let's see. Corey Wetstion, WTZSTEON. Do you think gas system X strings are worth the hype? Yes, I do. I think in most instances you'll get at least 5 feet a second. If you don't, you can call them and they will replace them. And their durability and consistency is amazing. Like whatever they're doing is really, really impressive. I do think they're worth the hype.
The durability and the consistency thing is the thing that I would be concerned with. I mean, if you want 5 feet a second, you could drop a few grains off your arrow. Like, are they going to stay the same is the thing I would be concerned about.
Sure. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. H. Holloway Archery 29.5. Best place to get your accessories for Matthews Lift. Your Matthews Pro Shop. Local. You can't get any accessories for a Matthews Lift that are Matthews labeled at a discount anywhere, and you should support your local shop unless you don't have one. Then we do sell every Matthews accessory on our website. There's just no discount period on any Matthews stuff. Period. You get in trouble for that. I know. What's a good drop away rest for less than $150? That's Joey McPherson 24. You got any input on that?
That's a better question for you.
Sure.
The one I put on the budget bows last year, what was the name of that?
It's a Trophy Ridge Propel or something like that?
Yep. That did hold up and didn't move, so I would be confident using that. I think there's one or two new products in that category too, so it's a better question for you.
Well, if you're giving me a $150 price tag, I would think personally I'd probably use a Hamsky primer.
Mm-hmm.
They're $130, pretty much bomb proof, work phenomenally well. There's a couple other rests that are in that realm. I think an HDX is over that personally, and Ripcord's got one or two of their rests in that category that are under $150 that I would look at. But personally, I don't know why you wouldn't just pick a Hamsky primer. It's American made. It's made with quality. The internal componentry is really tight tolerance. There's nothing chintzy about it. It's just a price point arrow rest. So.
Hey, true or false? If you go cable driven, every time you change your draw length, you have to recalibrate that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So when you shorten your length or lengthen your length, you have to change the length of the cords attached to the cables, which is why it's not ideal to use your cable to attach to. It manipulates your timing. So if you change that length, it's going to pull more on one cable than the other. Bow's out of time, got to play with the twist again.
Now, true or false, more soft knots on top or more soft knots on bottom?
I run the same. I don't do more one over the other.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah.
Do you?
Right on. Well, I'm not
Come
sure.
on, you heard something somewhere, so
Well,
you're
down at the
you're
shop,
talking that fuckery.
Down at the shop, I think Joel said more on top than on bottom, but I think Joel might have misheard Michael. So I'm not sure if it's top or bottom, but the internet seems to think that more on the bottom because that's where more of the pinch or the slide will come from. So I don't have an opinion on it. I actually wanted to just double check and ask Michael because he does an uneven amount.
I could
ask
see
him what his rationale was.
I could see on a shorter axle to axle bow putting more on top than the bottom because you get that pinch and it usually comes from above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could see that on a short axle to axle bow,
Okay.
but a traditional drawing, traditional size bow, I use the same.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what his logic is there.
Yeah.
Which arrow is better, Rip TKO or Easton 5.0? And that's from Kinsey's Outdoors. That's interesting.
Yeah.
5.0s, personally, because that's the right weight. Personally, the Rip TKO is a little heavy on the GPI. I'd like to see 8.3, 8.4 on a 300 spine arrow because I think it allows you to build a better overall projectile with a good 15% FOC with a good amount of weight in the front.
Early
Changes on everybody's lengths and poundages and stuff, though.
Early feedback seems that the 5.0s might be more brittle.
From who?
Than the TKOs.
I haven't broke one yet, and I've shot them a lot.
We have one or two of the guys down at the shop that are regular shooters that have broke a couple. Yeah. They're guys that shoot a lot of different arrows, you know. I'm not
Sure.
saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what they said.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I haven't had any messages of anybody saying they broke any.
I do
haven't
plan
personally
on
broken
doing
any.
a deep dive on the 5.0s, the HLRs, and potentially I might throw another arrow into that mix. But just durability, groups, see what shoots best for me kind of situation.
Oh yeah, I'm barking up that tree as well.
Yeah, because I'm in the mix for. I do think I'll end up changing my hunting arrow this year. Not for any reason other than just trying something different. And there's some really great products that are out, so I just kind of want to see what does what.
Sure. Let's see here. Weston Satzinger, fixed blade broadhead, hard to shoot at 300 feet per second. No, it's not. If it's tuned correctly, if your bow's tuned correctly, and your broadhead spins straight out of the arrow, and you use a good quality broadhead, not cheap crap where every other one's not straight, it works fine. I think that's a old wives' tale to beat the band, personally.
Yeah. And wouldn't you think that you're just seeing more of the error at 300 feet per second than you are at 275?
Well, that's the premise of why it's like harder, right?
Right.
You slow a bow down, it's easier to tune. This is about tuning your bow correctly. This is not actually about the broadhead at all.
Right.
You're just going to see your bow out of tune more.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah, the error is still present. You're just seeing a greater margin of error.
And the beauty of doing that, of increasing it and allowing it to show you more, then you know you have more work to do.
Right.
Where if you're not seeing it at 280, but you're seeing it at 300, wouldn't you rather know your bow needs a little more work?
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Giving you more feedback.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point of topic though, because that's one of those old things that does surface up often.
Benefit J.Hance30 benefits of hot gluing arrows over using epoxy. Do you want to start or do you want me to?
Sure, yeah, I have experience with this. Hot glue is really great because it allows you to swap out your points and swap out your weights. So if you're a tinkerer and you want to see maybe what flies the best, or if an FOC groups better, or maybe you want to run glue-in points, hot melt is the go-to. Now, hot melt, I have never had a problem with hot melt in anything other than when it gets really cold and I shoot it into something really sticky, and then I'll lose a point every once in a while. And I don't lose every point, but I will lose a point if it's really cold and I'm shooting into like a carpet bale. That can happen. Other than that, I have no reservations about using hot melt. And that's on the pullout, right? So if you're shooting something, you don't have to worry about the pullout. It's just
Is that what you were going for?
It's just a pull-in situation.
What are you calling that?
You know what I'm saying?
You're trying not to leave anything behind on
If
your
you're
pullout?
shooting something, it's a pull-in situation. So you don't have to worry about,
The number one reason you lose inserts and stuff is because your insert's bigger than your arrow, or your field point's bigger than your arrow. If it's flush, it really almost doesn't matter what kind of glue you use.
Yeah.
It stays in the arrow, and most of the componentry that we make and offer is flush. But the hot glue and epoxy, I've lost components with both.
Yeah.
With the hot glue we currently use and sell, we found a commercial industrial product that works way better than anything I've ever bought in the archery industry. And that's what we recommend using now that we found that. Before that, I wasn't actually recommending hot melt. I was using super glues or epoxies. All those things do work. There's a black glue. It's gotten really popular. It's a form of super glue. You're still going to lose inserts with all of them no matter what. If the application isn't pure, it's just part of the deal.
Yeah. And if you wanted to get really particular about it, I mean, you could scratch up the inside of your arrow before you glue it too with like a what are those, like a pipe cleaner, but a small pipe cleaner.
Bore brush.
Yeah, bore brush.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they sell them.
Like a 22 caliber bore brush works
Yeah,
well.
Last Chance actually sells a kit for arrow prep, but it is like bore brushes that you would buy for a rifle. Just got to get the right size.
Scratch it up, get a little more adhesion.
Harrison_C_Wilkins. Will you ever shoot any ASA shoots now that you've got a place closer to them? I am actually going to try to hit at least one. I got my schedule written out till August 1st right now, and I have to cross-reference when I'm going to be in the Nashville area against if there's an ASA anywhere nearby. I do intend to go to one, even just to see it, and I'm going to try to coordinate with Michael because he wants to shoot one or two of them and try to bring him down and go with him at the same time.
Do you think you'll shoot
for moral support?
The hunter class or the open class? Or
if I was going to shoot it, I'd probably shoot the hunter class. If I shoot, I might just go to check it out and say hi to people.
Yeah, the hunter class, I would.
Before this year, I still had a decent amount of time to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any time. It's hard to go to something that's going to be competitive and not practice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, either way, I guess I still get a little caught up on that apparently.
Well, and it's hard to stand up on you when you're capable of something. Like it's hard to just show up and be like, "Oh, I'm here for fun." It's different. I've had to experience that with golf, and yeah, when you know you're capable of doing well, it's weird to be there and just be like, "I'm here for a different reason."
Yeah, the competitive in myself still has a hard time turning off. I guess is the reality of it, which is why I some of this stuff I get a little uncomfortable with. But
Yeah.
can you clean glue off of carbon shafts? Can you clean glue off of carbon shafts with acetone? Gavin Jennison. Yes, just don't soak it in it. Just wipe it on, wipe it off. Don't like submerge it and leave it in it. Carbon fiber is resin composite, right? So it's glued together, but it takes a lot to break it down. So I wouldn't really hesitate to use acetone. I just wouldn't like put it in a gallon jug of acetone and leave it overnight. You'll probably be fine.
Well, and you guys like cleaning like your fletching tools with acetone, right?
Yeah. We have a jar of acetone that we put the Arizona jigs in.
Yep.
Overnight, but don't leave them in there for more than like an hour. The glue comes off, but if you leave them in there for a really long time, the arms start to like get all wonky.
Where are we at on the OMP thing? The OMP Fletcher, is that like the new better bits?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's we don't even hardly order Bitses anymore. I don't even know if we even got any Bitses in Nashville yet. I thought we did, but yeah, the Phoenix jig's a better jig.
Yeah.
It just works better, and it's similar priced, and the magnet on it's really strong.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really positives to it. Kevin Burwanger, HHA Nitrix or Booney. That's a tough call. The new changes they made to the new Nitrix gives you every adjustment feature that the Booney has for the most part.
Sounds like they have a rail now, right?
Yeah, they have an adjustable rail. No one doesn't have an adjustable rail anymore.
Yeah.
Yay! I've only been bitching about it for 12 years. Thank you. Yeah, nobody's left in the higher end market not offering a rail adjustment, which is great. And I would say the HHA Nitrix moves smoother. I haven't shot one a bunch yet. I'm intend to play with that side a bit, but the Booney has, in my opinion, better individual integration from bow to bow to bow. And I think, if I remember correctly, they are cheaper in general. So if you like price out a configuring head comparison, the Booney's actually a little less money, and Spot Hog is known for their durability. So I'd probably still say a Booney over an HHA Nitrix, but like if you move them both, the HHA moves smoother.
And so HHA's just closed that gap. Like they're a lot closer. I haven't got my hands on that yet.
And
I will say though, on the movable sight thing, one thing I really do like is when you can lock a sight down and still override it if you need to in the heat of the moment.
I think like the HHA, I think you can on the HHA. I know you can on the Spot Hog. You can adjust how much tension it sits on.
That's cool.
The Ultra Views you can move.
Yep.
I have to check on the driver if you can. I think you can even override the driver.
Because
I think most of them you can.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment, like that's gonna
You don't-
happen.
yeah, you don't
I
wanna
remember
unlock it.
hearing stories from Dan actually being like in Nevada, trying to rip his black gold down, and he just had it locked down and he stripped it out.
Yeah, you don't ever lock a black gold.
Right.
Ever.
I don't ever lock.
No,
a
you
black
don't
gold,
ever.
But yeah,
Let's scroll down a little ways here.
yeah.
Oh, I just got to say this for fun. Oh, God, my eyes are getting bad. Eubank Neil. Has Ultraview sent Brandon a jersey yet? It's in the mail. I guaranteed.
Yeah, they're close enough. They should be.
Well, he always like he's
They should be
bougie.
greasing
He's
his
bougie
wheels.
Brandon. In fact, if you need to email Brandon, he actually has an email
At
on
Ultraview?
at Nashville North, and it's bougie Brandon at Nashville North archery.com.
That's funny.
Will you do another hunt, another Texas whitetail hunt? I hope to do a Texas whitetail hunt every year for the rest of my life. It was great. I loved every bit about it. The place I went was awesome. The people I went with were awesome. And as long as they'll still have me, I'll still keep going there every year.
Yeah.
As often as they will let me go. I'd be
Texas
happy to go.
culture seems cool, man.
I could live in Texas other than I'm so invested up here. It's tough.
Seems like the Idaho of the North.
I agree. Texas is pretty cool. Did you attend SCI in Tennessee? No, I did not. My scheduling was messed up, and I didn't know I was going to be down there. I had like a month ahead of time that I realized what I was doing, and then realized SCI was there and just misscheduled. I will be at SCI next year for whatever it's worth.
Yeah. So
This one you can leave off with, Tim. James Conrad 67. Tax season is coming. What's going to be your bow and arrow setups? Go.
Yeah, mine's going to be the Darton Sequel 35 ST, and the arrow is still yet to be determined. But if I didn't change my arrow, it would be Old Faithful Rip TKO in a 250 spine with your 30 grain titanium and 125 in front of that. And then what are those vanes called again? I forget the name of the vane.
DCAs?
Yeah, DCAs.
DCA mini sabers?
DCA minis, which I could also change out. I mean, vanes are one of those things where I'm willing to try new stuff because there's a lot of interesting new stuff, and it doesn't really seem like one is, it doesn't seem like there's one that's like, oh my gosh, that's the vane, the end all be all. Yeah. But so you don't, and your answer is going to be
My
what?
answer is going to be I have no idea what bow I'm going to use. ... I'm building 5.
Yeah.
And I've got a little bit of time before I have to use one. Currently, the only bow I'm leaving alone and not messing with is the Lift X33. I still have stock strings on it. I have pretty much the whole stock set up, other than I just put a Epsilon V2 on it. I'm going to leave that bow sitting aside because I know it's roughly sighted in and I can grab it and use it for something.
Yeah, you have to have one bow that's styled.
But I'm going to rebuild 5 different bows here pretty quick. It'll be the next trip back. So I'm here till Thursday, then I go to Portland. I come back from Portland and I drive all the way across the country. And then when I come back from that,
Where are you driving?
I'm driving Dad's white Ford with me and Dodds and AAA as my homeboy. If it breaks down, we're driving to Sparta, and then we're driving to the Iowa Deer Classic, and then we're driving to Nashville.
What's Sparta?
Matthews.
Oh, right on.
Gonna go do a little tour, do some little filming on the way. It was just because we're driving through.
Yeah.
Because I have to go to the Iowa Deer Classic because haven't really announced this yet, but why not just do it right now? I own Gray Light Blinds.
Yes.
And they have a couple consumer shows there. It was a friend of mine's company, and I didn't want to see him get out of the company. They had 3 owners, and they were selling it, and I didn't want to see him not be part of his company anymore. So he called me trying to see if I wanted to buy it, and then I talked to him about, well, how do you stay involved? And worked something out, and now he's still involved, and hopefully he gets to see his company flourish. And I really believe in the products to begin with. I've used them for a couple of years since they first started making them. I've used their blinds for a while. I think they make really good products, and I'm going to go start endorsing those as the owner of the company. So if you're going to go to the Iowa Deer Classic, come by the Gray Light booth and say hi. I'll be there all weekend.
Yeah, because that is the hub for cabanas in the sky.
Yeah, that area is pretty popular for sure. And we'll have them on display in Nashville. We have 1 or 2 here in Spokane, but that's not the kind of thing that people buy out here for the most part. But yeah, they'll.
The only people that are ahead of the curve are very into their creature comforts, like you have them up at their property for cabanas in the sky, so they can watch 80s movies and hunt elk at the same time.
Arrow wise, I'll either use an HLR, a 5.0, or a Rip XV. I'm probably going to actually stick with one of the first 2. And I'll hopefully have gone through and done some testing and video-related things as to which one of those I think works the best, and then try to run that one through the tack season because it'll still be whatever I hunt with.
Yeah.
And I can still shoot plenty far enough for anything that tack provides or offers. With that kind of arrow weight, I don't have to get down to a sub 350 arrow to shoot that far away at 70 pounds.
I will say one point of contention I have between the two is when you're shooting a lot of foam, how it pulls out of the foam makes a difference.
Sure.
Sure. And I've seen like the 5.0s are made out of similar material as an Axis, and an Axis is traditionally a tough pull.
Yeah. And the Victories pull like butter.
They're like butter.
They're like Teflon or some. They call it ice coating, but they have like a Teflon style coating on the end of the arrow.
On the other side of that, if you already use like the 5.0, you can use an outsert that's bigger than the shaft, and it does make it easy to pull.
For sure. Yeah. But then you're more likely to lose the outsert.
And you're also, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Alona_Webb, who misses Jake the most.
Who misses Jacob the Webb?
Jacob the Webb the most, yeah.
I don't know. We all miss him. We got to get him in for another podcast soon.
Yeah. It's been a while. We should have Jake on.
Yeah, Jake's fun. He's part of, he's one of the boys. He's fun to hang out with. And for some reason, Jake always ends up getting his balls busted the most. And I don't know why, but.
Yeah, there is that. But it's because he can give it back pretty easily. Yeah. It's a safer bet.
He's good.
You don't respond as well to the ball busting.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. I miss Jake the most. You're all good. Is your girlfriend real, or are you actually dating Brandon? Yes, she's real. One of these days I'll put her on the podcast. Actually, we're waiting for the left-handed women's bows to come in because she's a lefty, and we'll do the Bow of the Year women's edition with her. So you'll get to.
I will say on the Jake
you get to know
thing,
something
we
a
did
little more.
the only version of the Hot Wings pod with Jake that
Yes.
you could go back and watch.
Well, and we need to do the.
And we should run that back again.
We could. Well,
we
no,
have-
we got to go shoot though. That was the deal. We were going
Right.
to shoot, and then the consequence was you had to eat the wing.
Yeah, we should have a Hot Wings challenge
Right.
of some version
And have
coming
a
out.
backpack version of it or something.
Yeah.
Or set something up that's just on like the flat range that's really challenging.
Yeah.
And we can all have it right there.
Yeah, because Hot Wings will make a comeback to some version.
Dodds
of
has got a fun game thing we could do around that and use that as that. He actually bought some stuff for it.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see here. If you ever talked one time, give me some Phil. I'm going
I
to
do
read a
like
couple.
the flavor of these Zoas. I don't know that I've tried one before. Maybe just tried it in passing, but this was just a random energy drink in Josh's fridge. And is this the one The Rock does?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think I can feel my biceps swelling up as I'm drinking it.
That'll do
Actually.
it.
But yeah,
Okay.
the flavor's pretty solid in orange.
This is a good question. And you answer it first. Kyler Hansen 07. If price doesn't matter, what is the overall best site?
Oh, that's really difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know that the gap at the top is if one separated itself head and shoulders. I think you could make arguments for most of them.
Well, we should probably first assess what are the five, right? So you've got the Booney, the Nitrix, the Proof, the UltraView, and the Driver. Those would be your top five, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, people could say that, yeah. The Landslide is similar to the Driver. The Driver's just got a little bigger wheel on it.
If drivers are there, nobody's buying a Landslide,
Okay,
right? And the price is the same, actually. Like there's almost no price difference between them.
that's cool. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
what are your
that's-
thoughts?
Oh, man, I don't really
Money's
have
not
thoughts.
an object, buddy.
Yeah, I don't really have thoughts.
They all are free. Which one you want?
I don't know. I mean,
This is gonna be a hot take.
well, I want to hear your hot take. 'cause
I said you got to
don't-
go first.
I don't really have one.
Okay.
I think
Well, pick something.
I want to see the Excel in person. I have really no gripe with the UltraView. I mean, I think that was a really nice site, and I really do them being the first to wheel or of that wheel orientation.
The
I
best
think they made a great
ergonomics for
product.
sure.
I mean, I think being able to override it was awesome. Some people complain about the pin brightness, but they have lights on it, and pin brightness never really, I thought was fine. I got to get to know those other sites better, honestly, to have a real opinion. So go ahead.
Well, I've got one particular real issue with the UltraView. I've been shooting the 3-pin vertical for a while.
Yeah.
And the pin's too damn big. Like it's way too big. It's blocky. But I've shot the smaller SE3 housing with their 10-pin, and it's great. So I don't know if they make a smaller pin, because I thought they just make a 15 only in this new Matthews edition. But it's giant, and it's uncomfortable to aim with, like very much. Which I know that sounds like nitpicky, but for myself, like my sight picture is really, 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 really
That's what it boils
important.
down to.
As long as the sight's got all the adjustments,
Yeah.
like if it's got a first axis, second axis, third axis, rail adjustment, some micro in it, which micro is not even that super important, but if you're spending 500 up, it probably ought to be micro. That's kind of ridiculous to not be. The scope housing and the pin head are like super duper important, and I struggle a lot. I've shot that sight since like November. I've taken it on every hunt, and anything beyond like 30 yards, I put the pin up on it, and it looks giant. It just looks way too big, and I'm having a hard time aiming with it. And that's not me making excuses by any means. It's like I've looked at it a lot, and it's not super comfortable to look at.
Well,
The pin needs to be smaller
Yeah.
for me, because I'm really used to shooting with a really small pin. Been shooting with a small pin my entire life, so sight wise, at that point, that would probably eliminate that sight from my choices. I haven't shot the Proof enough to say yay nay, but I do like the sight. It looks really good. It moves relatively well, and I do like the HHA's 10,000ths pin. The HHA might get in there, but I also like Spot Hog's 10,000ths pin. What I shot last year for most of it was a Booney with an UltraView head on it, a little hybrid action, a little bit of love one each direction, right? And the Driver's got a good looking pin too. So if I had to pick one right now, honestly, I'd probably pick the HHA. Honestly, at the moment, but to be continued.
Well, the cool thing about Excel is they are easy swap their pins.
Yes,
And what I was just going to ask you on that is, have you hunted with a horizontal pin in recent years?
it's been a long time.
'Cause
I hate it.
Yeah, I hunted with a horizontal pin like 2 years ago or something, and I shot a couple animals with it. And I thought it was really nice to put a horizontal pin on an animal, and just how that sight picture looked and what you could see where it was on its body line. So I think for a target, a vertical pin's probably the move. And for hunting, I mean, I think you could go either way. I definitely like a vertical pin for longer shooting accuracy. But if it's whitetail hunting in the Midwest, or bear hunting over bait, I mean, I think a horizontal pin might be the move.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
And that's totally a preference thing.
Horizontal drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Butch Weeby, do you see Darton becoming a top 3 bow company with the recent rise and popularity?
Butch Weeby.
Butch Weeby. So my answer to that is the same thing I told Darton when they handed me that bow for the first time. You cut a half a pound out of this bow and you're a top 3 bow company.
Yeah.
I believe it. If they can make that bow weigh a half pound less, like some of the other bows on the market, namely Matthews, obviously, I think they have the features and the benefits that would get them in the top 3.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they're not. And I was told they've doubled in sales this year, so that's a good thing.
Well, and growing pains are a real thing too when you're trying to grow, and how they handle that. Because that's when you see shit go sideways. Like, you start to manufacture more things, and all of a sudden you might lose quality, or you don't have the customer service to keep up with whatever you need. Like, yes, to be able to grow tells a lot about a company and how well their foundation has been built. So can they handle that growth? Who knows?
It's almost always challenging for most of them to handle it.
Yeah.
But the guy running on the ship there currently has taken 2 other bow companies and taken them from small companies to big companies.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody necessary to actually manage that, they got the right person at the helm for that.
Yeah.
And ironically, they've doubled in size this year since he's been there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So it's interesting.
Go ahead.
It's interesting because they made a really nice product this year, and they're getting a lot of attention. How they'll handle that is up to them,
Travis D83, has anyone tried to put a Darton timing adjustment on a lift yet? It's funny that you say that. I was just having a conversation with them if they're going to sell that part, or if they're going to try to license it, or what are they doing, and their preliminary thoughts if they're going to sell it is like $200 a set. And I'm like,
oh, that's
I don't see anybody buying that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great feature, but knowing that you're going to also have to replace your strings and cables, it's not like you can just grab a stock set. Like, it's not like you can grab your Matthews, take that little plastic thing out, and put Darton's piece in there and not change your string and cable lengths. So it's going to take some fuckery, for the best way to put it, I guess, to figure out what you're going to have to use to put it on there, and then you're going to have to order new strings and cables. So now you're talking about a $400 venture-ish. That's a lot just to add a timing feature.
I hope if they do it, they keep the price under $100 for a consumer.
I agree, but I don't think they will. I think they feel like they're going to sell a lot more bows leaving it on there than letting somebody buy somebody else's bow.
That just seems like a bit of a middle finger. Like, we'll sell it, but let's price it high.
I agree.
I would rather them not sell it than do that.
I agree. I said that's way too high.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Let's see.
Or make it accessible and make more people, know about Darton because they're buying that.
Right.
That is a really interesting question, though. Does it bastardize their bow sales? It's hard to say. It is really hard to say. If they were another company, would they license it out? Like, if they were a Bowtech, Matthews, Hoyt, do they license the tech? Probably not, because they want to sell their bows.
Well, it depends. If they get enough money for each one that they use, and they're going to put it on their entire line, and they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to put this on 400,000 bows." Like, okay, here, that's what Darton's done in the past, right? And I know that it's different ownership in a different direction, but Darton in the past has just simply sold their tech, not really sold a lot of bows, and made a lot of money off of doing nothing other than creating good ideas.
Well, and that's a big egg in the basket. If at the beginning of the year you have a PO for 500,000 bows or something,
Okay, T Carry 18, carbon weaves on arrows. What's the difference?
You know that better from a technical perspective.
Sure.
I just know that when I shoot a carbon weave, probably because of the way they're made, or because they're always made by the same company, they just pull out of the arrows really nice, and they seem to be a little more durable.
So, the premise. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Boy.
Bless your soul.
Oh, thank you. So the premise behind carbon weave is a couple things. One, it's supposed to make the arrow more durable, which I believe it does, and two, it's supposed to improve the recovery rate. So it's supposed to tighten up the flex left to right. So as your arrow leaves the bow, it's supposed to make it come back quicker. And I personally think it does do that. I've had a lot of claims from manufacturers that have gone to a weave to state that that is exactly what happens. Like your arrow comes back to center quicker. It'd be interesting to play with that over, 10,000 frames and see how long it takes for your arrow to stop wobbling from a straight fiber to a weave and play with it and see if you can literally see it downrange. But that would take a lot of work to set up and do.
And if that even has a net effect on a better arrow flight.
Oh, it absolutely would. Because if you make a bad shot or you torque the bow, it'll make it recover back to center quicker.
Okay.
So you don't miss by as much. If it's a perfectly shot arrow, it doesn't matter how long it takes to recover to center. Other than that, in theory, should put more energy into the arrow because it hasn't had to flex back and forth as many times to get to stop flexing, which would allow it to store more energy, which would make it drop less downrange.
Yeah.
All working together. Arrowholics, will the CWD restrictions change your outlook on your Washington hunting property? Well, that's something that is near and dear to my heart and a bigger concern. There's pluses and minuses. It'll be interesting to see if Washington continues to try to, which they only did it in Spokane County, and my hunting property is not in Spokane County. They didn't allow you to bait this last year. It'll be interesting if they try to make that more widespread, if they go to no baiting, which is a good and a bad thing depending on if you own land. Like if you own land and can grow crops, then nobody else can bait and all the animals will end up on your place. Right? So there are advantages to it, but I would prefer to be able to hunt in a state that allows baiting, and here's my real reason why. And I actually touched on this on my podcast with Brandon. I think it's ethically wrong to outlaw baiting because you're taking a poor man and putting him at a disadvantage. And I don't think that's fair. Like a poor guy can still go out and buy bait and put it out on public land and attract deer or elk or whatever via food. A rich guy that has land can grow his own food legally. So you're giving a guy with money an advantage over a guy that doesn't have as much money. And I really don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
And like I also am in a state that it's illegal to bait. Like in Tennessee, you can't even have scent. Like nothing. You can't take a scent attract it and drop it on the ground. Like nada.
Interesting.
But a rich guy can grow crops and leave them for deer and get all the deer in the area to go over to his place.
A field of corn or a field of soy or whatever.
Yeah, like I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like and don't get me wrong, I'm not rich, but I have enough money that I can buy land and grow a crop. Right? So if I really want to, I can. I can take advantage of those systems that a poor man cannot do, and I think that's ethically wrong. I don't feel a person of lesser wealth should be at a disadvantage when it comes to hunting. I don't think that's right.
Yeah. I'm going to experience my first year bow hunting whitetails without bait, and I'm just very curious to see what that's going to be like. Because I've always hunted them in states where you could use bait. And, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Okay, elevated archery solutions. How do you determine your spine when you change your FOC, adding weight to the front? So traditionally, I tried to get an answer out of each arrow manufacturer, and nobody could actually give me a straight answer, which was kind of concerning. I was trying to determine, and I might have been talking to the wrong people, just FYI. I was trying to determine how much weight do you add to the front to increase a 50 deflection point, or i.e., if your arrow's 28 inches long and you're shooting a 300 spine arrow and 150 grains in the front, if I add 25 grains, do I need to go up to another spine? If I add 50 grains? And personally, I think it's about 35. I think for every 35 grains of weight, you need to go up a 50 spine or go down 50 in spine. Personally, that's what I've seen. That's what I've experienced. But I'd love to hear back from an arrow manufacturer to give me the actual equation. I thought it would be as simple as for every 50 grains, you need another 50 spine deflection or something like that. But I couldn't get an answer out of anybody.
Doesn't that scale seem like it would slide? Because if you took extreme examples, if you took a 22-inch arrow and a 32-inch arrow,
It's going to be different.
That being 10 inches away,
Yeah.
like a little more grain is going to affect that wobble that much more.
Of course, I just want to see it on a 28-inch arrow because that's what's most common,
Most
right? Just
standard.
give me a metric on just that.
Yeah.
Like how much tip weight is actually a requirement to change a deflection. That would be nice to know, but I've never been able to get a straight answer out of anybody on that because I would like to incorporate that in testing.
Yeah. Interesting.
What's my sister, Reese_Jonesy. What color of underwear are you wearing? So that's weird. Black. That's weird, sis.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're asking me that.
Pink. That's not. I mean, but.
Well, yeah. Did you answer yours?
Pink.
Always?
No, I'm not wearing pink underwear. They're like friggin' blue or something. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Lefty suited bow hunter or something like that. Explain why rest movement for broadheads tuning if only point of impact is shifting. Well, the reason you typically move your rest is because most boats don't allow you to easily move the cams.
This is a good question because I wondered if, like, because I can easily move my cams now, will I broadhead tune with my cams?
I would hope you do.
Yeah.
You should. And bows that allow you that are putting you at a severe advantage because most of your broadhead impacts are left to right, not up and down if you tune your bow correctly. And it's usually a slight spine variation that your field points won't show. And you can tweak that slight spine variation by moving your cams left to right. Bows that allow you to do that are supremely better for tuning when it comes time to getting a broadhead and a field point to hit in the same spot.
And that's why micro adjust rests are also nice, is that you can move them with clicks, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It gives you the affordability to make very, very precise adjustments and know exactly how far you're moving it.
Yeah. Which is why a person could spend $300 on a rest versus $75,
Right.
just for reference.
Skylar _ Spence 411. I would like to hear more about 3 fletch versus 4 fletch. 4 fletch is garbage.
4 fletch is better.
Anything with aero ballistics and whatnot, you traditionally are going to benefit greater from, in my opinion, from having 3 fletches with more twist than 4 fletches with less twist.
Yeah, and
it's a variation of both.
I've always just leaned towards 4 fletches just to piss Josh off is really the only rationale.
Yeah, most of the people that are close to me do, just to piss me off.
And I actually don't run 4 fletches on my arrows. Maybe
I
will this year.
Juan _ Perez 76. Would you and Tim go hunting in Africa?
Africa's a long way.
I'm apparently more willing to go hunting a lot than he is, so let's see what he says.
Africa's a long way away, but if I did go to Africa, it would probably be bucket list, and I would want to be there for a little while. That sounds like a very unique opportunity that at this point in my life seems out of reach, but you never know. And I'm kind of open-minded to whatever. Hopefully when I get old, I have a lot of really cool hunting stories that I can share. What do you think, Josh? Are you going to get to Africa?
Oh, I'm going to Africa at some point for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And I wouldn't mind going with you.
Yeah.
I know you're not a big fan of flying.
Whew.
I've gotten way more used to it now since
Yeah.
I've been on like 20 planes in like 4 months.
Well, our buddy the other day that was on the pod, what was it?
Ray?
Ray, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray's done many trips to Africa.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was years ago, so I'm sure it's feasible.
Connor Rob _ Fish. Best all-around arrow weight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're hunting in North America or in the United States, seems like 450. 450.
I prefer about 420.
Yeah.
I think that's ideal, but 450 is real common. It's real common.
Yeah. It's a pretty safe answer, too. Just because I think if you're to err one direction and you're hunting something heavier, you want a little more penetration. Yeah. And a 450 is still going to blow through your coos deers, your whitetails, your stuff like that, assuming you have a tuned arrow and a good broadhead.
Sorry, I'm just reading some of these questions. They're inappropriate.
Yeah. People are funny, hey? Like, that's one thing I think that's cool about our audience is...
This is, hold on. I should probably go ahead and say this one.
Yeah.
Yo-Yo Sun 11, Mohawk up or down during whoopee? My Mohawk's always up, dog.
Always up.
Let's see what else we
No matter
got.
how special or unspecial the occasion.
Let's see, what release or site would you be? What release and site will you be hunting with in 2025?
Well, I think I'll definitely be hunting with a wrist strap. Unless I really am thinking about touching something from deep.
Ow!
Yeah.
I want to spend some deep time on wrist straps, actually.
Yeah.
I really do. I think they're coming back around. I think there's some relevance.
Yeah. Solex is my go-to. I kind of discounted the Solex clicker a little bit based on my first experience with you. The click seemed very light, and at that point, I would almost rather just go without a click. But our friend down at the shop, Justin Grimes, set his up, and his has a beautiful click. Nice pressure and tension on both sides of the click. So however he set it up absolutely money. And I'm going to put that back in the rotation. But I don't know. It's probably going to be a Solex or Solex clicker.
Mine's completely up in the air. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I got a ways to go. Old_church_lawn. East versus West challenge with Botalk. Botalk, hit me up. I'll do stuff with you. Bring it on.
Yeah, by the way, the West would win.
All right, let's see. Well, you never know. I don't know how good he is at archery. I assume he's pretty decent at it. Weathermark_outdoors. You're going to make 2-piece 4mm titanium inserts for the 235 spine VAP TKO. Yes, we will. We have to add a couple. There's a couple that we don't have sizes for that we are going to add to the line soon, very soon. How long have we been doing this for?
Okay, we're coming up on the last few minutes, so we'll get some good questions or we'll get some rapid fire ones.
Let me see if I can refresh here. Whoop.
Yeah. Anyway, these...
Ooh, here we go. There's a whole bunch of new ones.
These question and answers, I had mixed feelings on question and answers in the past because I think sometimes creators do question and answers when they're a little lost on what they should be making. But I really like doing it, particularly for our audience, because we don't know what the burning questions are. So if you guys enjoy like these question and answer type episodes, definitely leave this episode a thumbs up and a comment and just let us know that. Because I'm okay doing these, once a month or something, just because.
Yeah, easy enough.
Yeah, and
let us know if this is enjoyable for you. It's easy enough to do.
Yeah. I don't mind
let's
doing
see.
it. So.
Mots_78. Would you like to go hunting on another continent? Yes, all of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'll go hunting anywhere. I want to hunt all kinds of stuff, assuming it's within a reasonable cost and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I like hunting different things to try to figure out what it is that I get the most joy out of hunting. I'm not like hardcore elk or hardcore whitetail or hardcore mule deer. I enjoy everything I've been hunting. I've had a lot of fun with all of it, but I haven't found anything that just felt like I just must do this for the rest of my life.
Which continent are you least excited about hunting on?
Probably Europe.
Yeah.
What kind of hunting's in Europe?
Right.
There's all kinds of interesting opportunities out there. New Zealand be fun. Argentina be fun. Australia would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Africa would be fun. There's a lot of places where there's a lot of hunting opportunities.
Yeah.
Assuming it's feasible. Greenland reindeer, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We were talking about that one last year.
You could be hunting in the United States of Greenland.
Since I've decided I'm going hunting.
Yeah.
I can't read this. I got ask me about the trans joke. I'm not doing it on this,
Okay.
but oh my God. CBRU 587. For a correct draw length, should your string come across the edge of your mouth? On most axle-to-axle bows, when the draw length is set correct and your anchor is set correct, yes, it should. Certain axles and sizes will not, but most of them it should, yes.
Yeah.
Heath_4503. How hard is it to transition from compound to traditional archery? You better want to shoot every day if you want to shoot traditional. Compound, you can get away with not shooting every day. Traditional is like playing guitar or something like that. It's just a rhythm that you have to get. It's a feel that you have to get. Craig_nearing. Is a tack worth going alone to? Absolutely. You'll meet people. You'll have a good time. You'll just get thrown in a group with other people, and you'll make new friends, and they are all fun. I've yet to be the one that wasn't fun.
And what I would add to that too,
go ahead.
on the tack thing is, there might be a tack in your area. There might just be a big 3D event in your area. Like they're drawing a similar crowd of people. It's a crowd of people that want to shoot their bows and hang out at the mountain. So if you have local stuff too, check it out. Support your local events.
Outside somewhere 413. Will you ever come up to shoot Pico, Vermont tack? Probably not. There's only so many I can do and so much time in my schedule, and there's not quite as many people at that one from what I understand, but maybe. You never know.
You never know.
The stars may align. Alexander.lucas.alves. Rank the carbon bows, please. If we're talking about people who just made new bows this year or all in general. Honestly, if I got to give the carbon award to somebody, I'd probably give it to PSE right now.
Yeah.
One, it's American made. Two, they got good speed, good feel, good specs. The RX9 Ultra will be on my list of bows to test and try personally. But The PSC is the only American-made one, and if you made me pick one right now, that's probably what I'd pick. So I'd probably do PSC 1, Hoyt 2, Elite 3, Bowtech 4. They still make a carbon. I think that's all of them, pretty sure. That's the rank I would put them in.
Yep.
Plain underscore and underscore simple. What is your dream hunt? Throw realism out the window. I want to hunt caribou more than anything, which is not an unreasonable thing to hunt, and it's not super expensive. All of them, all their situations, all their environments. I like the idea of hunting caribou. It seems like my kind of animal, and I think I'm probably going to end up in a situation where that's what I end up loving. But we'll see what happens after all the hunting gets done.
Yeah, I would say, man, that's a really tough question. Hunting elk in an area where they're unpressured or like there's not a lot of tags, that can be really fun. I love a good elk rut fest, chasing big bulls.
Sure. That's
I
always
love
a good time.
adventure. Moose, probably Alaska moose with a bow. You know, the big moose, the Yukon ones.
I might actually be doing that this year.
Yeah.
I've got something lined up, but it just depends on if I draw anywhere or not.
Yeah. Do you think will you repurpose these questions? Maybe answer them on your story?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot here. God, I don't know if I can answer all these. There's so many. There's multiple hundred. There's so many of them are like the same question, though. That's the funny thing when you start reading them.
Yeah.
What else
You get a lot of the same burning desires.
Yeah, there's so many. Okay, why don't we end with this one?
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Zill Reddy. Ranch Fairy thoughts. My thought, he is a jackass. That's what the guy said.
Did he want to answer his own question? Or did he want you to
No,
answer it?
I think he wanted to preface what his personal opinion was
all right.
before we answered. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I like anybody that's helping grow the sport, bringing more attention to the sport. The thing about Ranch Fairy and what I've heard from his content and seen, and I have made an effort to watch it, is it's a similar perspective painted from the same perspective. So the question is always, how do I penetrate more, or how do I optimize for penetration, and those kind of things. And I think that's one portion of the pie that is getting talked about. But the other thing you want to talk about is how much penetration do you need to get through the animal while also leaving the largest wound channel possible? Because a larger wound channel gives you a better chance of recovery. And then also, how much speed is a consideration getting to the animal, because if an animal drops more or moves more, you're changing your effective position that you could hit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I like it. He's got a personality that is. He's bringing more people to archery. That's cool. I would like to hear him talk about speed. I would like to hang out with him and be able to have these conversations on a public forum where we talk about more than just penetration. I think there's many, and also like Africa's cool, but most of the people we're talking to hunt in America, North America. So let's talk about North America, and there's a lot of great successful hunters who've spent a lot of time killing animals in North America that we could reference, and their names aren't Dr. Ashby,
Yeah, I'll close with what he's trying to recommend has a great application for 20-25 yards.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I wouldn't recommend it at all.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're doing, there's really good plus to it. Or if you're hunting Cape buffalo or elephants, sure. Yeah, get the best penetration you possibly can. But there's a lot of other factors in the functionality of an archery shot that really, really matter that are completely disregarded in the philosophy. And that's the concern. I appreciate and like that he's reaching out and getting an audience involved and getting more people in the sport. And his tuning method does effectively work. I don't think it should disregard tuning your bow altogether, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
that's a big anti-me thing personally, because I think tuning your bow is the most important thing you can do. Making sure your bow is tuned optimally and perfectly, and then play with tuning the arrow to it. But don't just ignore it. That's not it's not a static device. It will change if it's out of tune versus in tune as far as energy transfer, 100%. And I will prove it for you so you can see it in the future. But up close, 20 yards, it's hard to beat a single bevel two blade with a lot of weight behind it. But I only think that weight's about 5% of the equation, and I think that broadhead's about 95% of the equation. So if you want to penetrate, pay attention to what broadhead you shoot. It's not so much arrow weight.
Yeah. And the size of the wound channel coming out the other side. Like if you know you
That'll
can
matter.
shoot through the animal,
Increase your hole size.
right, increase your hole size. And I'm glad you brought up the bow tune thing because yeah, that's huge. That's a big deal.
Saying it doesn't matter is just ignorant.
And calling it a launcher is unfair. You know, it's not everything launches the same or transfers the same amount of energy.
Correct.
You know, so being able to, there's a yin and a yang there. It's a bow and an arrow. You know,
Yep.
that's what it's called, right? A bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow. They go together.
Not
They
a
both
launcher and an
matter.
arrow.
They both
So,
matter.
But yeah, I mean, you and I are both still have open doors to hang out with them and do stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
And we did offer and try in San Antonio last time we went down there.
I offered to go back down there on when I was going for other trips and bring equipment and show them how to tune bows and try to teach them.
Yeah.
Never heard from 'em.
Kind of mysterious.
Well,
Brandon connects with them.
Yeah, Brandon does, and he still tries to. I don't know when he's talked to him last, but I've offered multiple times. I'm happy to show you how to do this stuff and how to make it work correctly and why it's important, and you can see a difference. I've volunteered my time for free, and I would travel. So hit me up, Branch. Happy to do it, man.
Okay, that's a good sign off.
I want you to understand.
That's a good sign off.
Cool.
Yeah. Right on. That's the pod. That's the Q&A pod. If you loved it, leave it a thumbs up. Leave it a question. We're willing to do more of them, but only if you want to see them. Only if you want to see them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of deal.
100%. If you enjoyed it, give us feedback that you enjoyed it, and we'll do it like once a month or something.
Right on.
Cool. Later.